Hey, welcome here guys in another solo leveling Rise video. And today we have quite a few moments to cover regarding weapons for SJW. We will talk a little bit about best combinations of weapons, best combinations in terms of elements as well. Also, first of all, I would like to cover the moment where I made a mistake, and thanks to one of my viewers who explained me this mistake in one of my previous videos where I was testing the new light weapon and was comparing it to the plum sword. There was a little bit of mistake, so let me show you real quick. We were testing it with Ogre, and here, as you can see, at Brewhead Strong level 10, there is actually a rule that my damage is going to be reduced by a certain amount if I'm going to use any kind of weapon to which boss has a strength. So, as we know, Plum Sword is a dark weapon, and this is one of elements to which the boss is going to be strong. So these tests weren't that accurate, and I want to bring it to a final point. We'll test things at level 9 with the light weapon and the plum sword just to see the final numbers. It's not going to take a lot of time, a quick run. And another thing to cover as well. So I finally made my Discord server. It's a beginning stage and there are a few moments to actually adjust for future, but for now it should work. So I'm going to leave the link in the description to this video, also on my channel, so feel free to join to not miss all the new announcements, new stuff and so on. You're more than welcome. Now let's begin with test. I'm going to use once again SJW with 99% precision. So I'm going to apply all buffs, as usual. And the quarter stuff. Okay, 32% left. Now we'll try with the plum sword. I'm not going to do any more runs because of 99% precision. That's more than accurate. Let's test it out with the plum sword, see the difference. Now again, keep in mind that my plum sword is A10, and that's quite a difference in terms of attack percentages. We remember 32% left. We'll do the same rotation once again. And the quarter stuff, 45. Let's do it once again. Just the same rotation, nothing is going to be changed. Hunters, skill, and the quarter stuff. 45% left. When we had 32% with the light weapon, with the light spear. So I believe this is going to bring it to the final point where we actually understand that, yeah, the light weapon is going to be the best fit in terms of light element. Now let's go back to the weapons and we'll have more detailed discussion in terms of best combinations and so on. So basically, in general, we have two types of weapons. First type is going to be support weapons, and here we're going to talk about gold-tailed fox, moonshadow daggers, plum sword, Tethys grimoire, and that's pretty much it for SSR weapons. We're going to cover SSR weapons because, of course, they are the main in this game. They're going to provide the most benefits and they're essential for the late content, so there's no real reason to cover SR weapons, with the only one exception, which is going to be West Wind, because this one weapon allows you to finish almost all content of this game. So there is a huge one SR weapon for sure. Let's begin by elements, and we'll start for sure with the dark element. we have quite a lot of weapons here. And when we're going to talk about specifically support weapons, there are actually several ways to provide damage with using a support weapon. This might be first support weapon, second damage weapon, and the third way is to deal damage with skills. And the best combinations here with the dark element is going to be actually Moonshadow daggers with the plum sword, just a unique combination, and with magnifying flashes, the skill which is going to provide just a lot of damage. This is going to be the best combination so far. For the Ziggs fragment, this is a really nice weapon for the dark element, which is going to deal quite a lot of damage. I can say that this is the best damage dealing weapon in this game so far, but it's kinda good, it's kinda okay, and it has a good combination with both Moonshadow daggers and with Demonic Plum Flower as well. When I was covering some type of content, especially the Baron on the hard mode, when it wasn't nerfed till ground, I was able to finish him with actually the Plum Sword and Ziggs Fragment. So for Moonshadow daggers, we have several buffs, or let's say debuffs, which are going to increase damage dealt to opponent. And this is going to last for like 3 seconds, as you can see the lunar eclipse, and as long as you're going to upgrade this weapon till A5, it's going to be better and better from advancement to advancement. Also at A5, it's going to increase team's members damage by 15%, that's a lot, and that's why this is the best feat for now at Guild Boss as well. It also provides several stacks. This is going to be huge, 3 seconds, that's more than enough, for example, for Ziggs Fragment to land all 3 attacks, if you're using it fast enough. But with the Plum Sword, here it's going to increase critical hit rate, critical hit damage, that's a lot. And it requires some kind of, let's say, skill to use this weapon correctly with dashes and manage this as well. The best fit for dark weapons as well, and Ziggs going to work really nice here for sure. Shadow Scythe. This weapon is not that usable at the late stages because there are way better options, but at the very beginning, when you're just starting, you have an opportunity to get some copies of this weapon for free, so this might be usable. And the animation is quite long. I'm not sure if it's going to work really nice with Moonshadow daggers, but with Plum Sword it should work pretty much well. There is nothing to actually talk about it at the beginning. It's a nice weapon, but after all, for sure you're going to replace it. No big deal about it. Now let's go to the wind element, and this is, let's say, probably the second best element in this game in terms of different combinations, and thanks to DKD, wind element can actually provide a lot of damage. So the first and the most obvious combination of weapons here, of course, is going to be Demon King's Longsword and DKD. So DKD is going to be the main damage weapon here. Demon King's Longsword, it actually can deal some damage, but also it's going to increase wind damage by certain percentages. And yeah, it can be at some point a little bit of a buff weapon for DKD. This is for me personally, the most lovely combination. I was able to finish Proof of the Strong level 20 Baran in WOBL with combination of these 2 weapons, so it works pretty much well. Of course, the other combinations which we're going to add here are going for sure dark weapons, and with DKD is going to be with the Plum Sword, the most popular combination, because it's going to increase critical hit rate and critical hit damage, which is huge for this weapon. That's actually a lot, and it helps to cover a lot of content as well. So for Demon King's longsword, it has, let's say, 2 hits, and animation is not that long, so for this weapon Moonshadow can work pretty much well as well. But you can play it also with Demonic Plumflower or the West Wind. This is the only SR exception which we're going to talk about, and the combination of Plumflower and West Wind is the best so far. I remember times when I was fighting in WOBL with a hard mode Vulcan. It was quite a struggle for me. I was rather a new player at that time, and with combination of these 2 weapons I was able to finish that content. That was huge, and as well as a story mode, a lot of moments, a lot of memories about these 2 weapons. This is pretty much huge for sure. Now going next to the light element, and yeah, at the beginning of this video, as you saw, we did a few tests, so it's pretty much obvious and safe to say that the combination of gold-tailed fox and divine quarterstaff is going to be the best. Specifically for light element, this is the best. Yeah, so this weapon is going to paralyze opponent for 2 seconds, which actually give you some amount of time to charge properly your quarterstaff, and this is going to be just a massive hit, no questions about it. For the True Demon Knight Spear, okay, let's say it's pretty usable for stages where you have a lot of mobs, but it's not the best damage dealing weapon so far in this game. It's pretty usable to clear a lot of mobs. For Huntsman, it's quite a good one, but again, not the best. It can deal some break damage, it can deal some damage, but it's far from being the best so far, for sure. So there is not many things to cover about it, but some other combinations which we can think about. Again, the Plum Sword with the quarterstaff still is a good option. And probably for the Huntsman, the Demonic Plumflower is going to be also a nice combination. For Moonshadow Daggers, it's not pretty much applicable. Divine Quarterstaff takes quite a lot of time to actually charge it. For the True Demon Knight Spear as well, it takes a lot of time to land all hits. So here, the Moonshadow Daggers is not going to be the best one combination. For Huntsman, it actually can be used with Moonshadow Daggers and with Demonic Plumflower. Probably we can add as a support weapon the Tethys Grimoire. But again, it's not going to be at the first place. It depends on your advancements, so there are kind of a lot of variations. But as long as we have this spear for free from the event, you should aim for it. It's definitely worth it. Now let's talk a little bit about Fire Element, and here we have 2 weapons which are going to be Phoenix Soul and Vulcan's Rage. About this one, there is not many things to cover about it. It can deal some damage, but the animation is too long and you can be hit during this animation, so I didn't find really usage to it. I didn't test this one a lot. Maybe it's worth it, but I'm not sure. This one is going to be way better, and also in my opinion Orb of Ever is still better than the Vulcan's Rage. So for the Phoenix Soul, the best combination is going to be again with the Dark Weapons and Demonic Plumflower. So these 2, they are going to work pretty much good. Again, it takes some time to charge this weapon, and after using this skill you're going to land several core attacks. With Moonshadow Daggers, this is not going to work really well, so the Plum Sword is going to be the best fit here. And finally, the Water Element. I'm not going to remove Dark Weapons because, again, so Tethys Grimoire is a support weapon. For sure, it's not going to deal a lot of damage, and here are actually several moments to talk about this spec. We can use 2 support weapons, First one is going to be Grimoire, the second one it may be Moon Shadow Daggers or Demonic Plum Flower, because effect from the Grimoire is going to last for quite a lot of time, and you have a chance to combine these two weapons with a certain skill which is going to deal a lot of damage from the water element. So this one skill, it deals a lot of damage, especially if enemy has a break bar, and if you're going to break him and the opponent is going to be in a break state during this period, you will be able to deal just massive amount of damage. I was trying with this one, Vital Strike, with water element as well. This one deals also a lot of damage, so can be pretty much usable. For this skill, it's written here quite a huge numbers, but I didn't try this one. The Cold Storm from Mutilate. Probably I should try this out. At least from numbers perspective, it looks pretty decent. The Skadi is kind of garbage weapon. Quite honestly, I didn't use it a lot during the late game. I was trying it at the beginning. I felt it's kind of good, but then I realized that actually not really, and there are way better versions of some other weapons. So yeah, this one I'm not using like at all. So the Grimoire is a really universal weapon, universal support weapon, and you can combine this one with pretty much any kind of other weapons. Is going to provide some buffs, and you can use some other damage dealing weapon without any questions, no problems at all. But if we're talking about specifically some water content, the main damage you're going to get are going to be skills, if it's the only element which you have as a weakness element for opponent. And for the final part of this video, just suggestions to weapons which you should aim for. And probably on the first place you should bring, of course, support weapons. So Demonic Plum Flower, out of any questions, Moon Shadow Daggers as well. For now, as we have this Gold-tailed Fox for free, you should aim for it. A really nice weapon. The other one, support weapon, Grimoire, is going to be huge, especially for the guild boss. There are not a lot of, right now, water content which you're going to struggle a lot. So this is just going to be a really nice universal addition to your collection. For some damage weapons which you should aim for is definitely going to be Demon King's Dagger. I should say this is a really nice weapon, the longsword, but maybe not the first priority, not the top one priority. For the fire element, okay, Thinning Soul is a nice weapon, but I have a feeling that probably in future will be added something else, and actually from SR perspective, Orb of Avarice is going to help you to cover a lot of content as well. It's way easier to get this one, so you shouldn't like give it the first priority as well. For the Divine Quarter stuff, let's say after several tests with the proper combination with this one spear, I should say probably Divine Quarter stuff is going to be the best damage dealing weapon. Or it's going to be still the second in compared to DKD, so it really depends. As long as we have right now the light meta, and most likely the next boss of WOBL is going to be with light element weakness, so Divine Quarter stuff is going to be a good addition, a good weapon to deal some decent amount of damage. Ziggs is kind of okay, but not a priority. Again, this one weapon is a must-have for free-to-play players. You can get it for free from the guild. Advance it to A10 without a lot of problem. Of course, it's going to take some time, but overall, it's kind of a good one. Not the best, but hey, it's for free. And yeah, that's pretty much it about priorities. So Skadi, nothing to say about it. Huntsman, kind of okay, but I'm not going to talk a lot about this one as well. Vulcan's Rage, miss. Shadow Scythe, at the beginning okay, but not for the late game. I believe that's it. yeah, I've covered the most important topics regarding weapons for SJW. Let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Maybe if you found some other interesting combinations, or if you think that I missed something, I'm curious to know about it. Hope this was helpful. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.